morning. Welcome to Business Today on Liberty This Morning, the program that encompasses news updates around the business world, discussion segments on business and the economy, capital markets, stock market, and of course, foreign exchange. I am Aisha Mohammed Ahmed, welcoming you once more. Today we are going to be looking at the issue of distribution challenges of the distribution companies, talking about the DISCO. With me in the studio is Abdul Aziz Abdullahi, Head Corporate Communication, Kaduna Electric.
It depends on how one looks at it. It's not, because of the fact that on a continuous basis, people keep needing the meters. Houses keep coming up, businesses keep setting up, so there will be continuous need to meter. So it can come to a point where you feel that you have met all your expectations, everybody is metered. It's going to be difficult. That's on the one hand. And another thing also to consider is that, when the federal government was privatizing these companies, there was an agreement. There was a number that was agreed between the BPE and those private investors about the number of meters to be provided per year. And ours was 500. The commitment we had with them was 500,000 over 5 years. That's each year we meter 100,000. And from that point of view alone, it means that the possibility of metering everybody will take quite a long time. For instance, if we say you are going to meter only 100,000 per year. In Kaduna alone, the number of residents is in millions. And then you think about Sokoto and Farakebbi, the other states where we operate. So it's not a challenge that will be met anytime soon, But and the other thing also is the cost of these meters. These meters are very expensive, so it requires huge capital investments. And because of the liquidity situation in the sector, the challenges of liquidity that the DISCOs are facing, not only us, all the DISCOs, in fact the power sector as a whole. So getting the required capital to invest in metering is also another challenge. So I believe that while DISCOs like ours are making all the necessary efforts to invest in metering, it will take some time before we get to the point where we feel that everybody is metered. If you may recall, not long ago, in 2016, we launched the 50,000 meters, which we have almost done with those installations. And then last year also, we signed agreements with about 5 indigenous companies to provide us with 200,000 meters. Those meters, we expect to receive them by the end of March. And as soon as we get them, we'll begin to roll. There's a lot of difference between what they say they produce and what actually is produced. So if the minister says, yeah, we have reached 7,000, but that was as at when? That was way back, I think even last year. As at today that I'm speaking to you, I don't think we have gotten up to 5,000. Remember at the beginning of the year, in January, there were about 8 system collapses, which brought the production, the generation capacity to about under 3,000. So they're just managing to pick it up now. I'm not sure we are up to 5,000. I can't remember the exact figure for today, but we are not up to 5,000. So that the minister saying that we have reached 7,000, to be honest with you, is just on paper. It's not reality. And then if the generation companies produce whatever amount they produce, there is a challenge from the transmission company to wheel it to us. They also have that limitation. If, for instance, 3,000 is produced, what they are able to send to us to distribute is not up to that 3,000 because their own installation limitations, infrastructure limitations that they have. You understand? In fairness to the federal government, they have been investing in ensuring that they improve the TCN network so that they can be able to wheel as much megawatts as possible. So possibly by the time, if they're able to finish all these infrastructural upgrades that they are doing, we will get to that point that they will indeed be able to wheel whatever megawatt is produced. But beside that, one thing the public needs to understand is that one of the challenges that we are facing with TCN is that, sometimes they send power to where we don't need them, where we don't need it. You understand? And because of that, we reject it, and they say that we are rejecting load. This is alluding to what you're actually saying. So, for instance, if TCN now sends some megawatt of power to a rural area in Kebbi State, maybe, let's say, like 10 million naira worth of power to Kebbi State, to that rural area, we know that they are not going to pay. If we take it, it's going to be a loss in our books. Meanwhile, out of that 10 million, we are hardly going to ever make maybe 200,000. So we have every reason to reject it. We tell them that we need it here, where there are people, where we maybe send it to Kaduna or Sokoto town or somewhere that people can be able to pay for it, receive it and pay for it. It's more economical. That way, we can receive back our money and we can be able to pay them. But because of their own infrastructural limitations, they are unable to do so. So that is why sometimes they say that we are rejecting load. But the reality is that's not the case.
Could this be one of the reasons why, let's take for instance here in Kaduna, we still have this issue of unstable power supply? Could this be one of the reasons?
No, partly the reason for that is because the generation capacity is low. It's not enough. That's the fundamental problem. In a country like Nigeria of 180 million people, over 180 million people, we are still battling with 5,000, 7,000 megawatts. When a country like Egypt, South Africa, they are producing 30,000 megawatts. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that fundamentally means that there is no way power supply can ever be sufficient, because we are producing far, far below where we need. 7,000 megawatts is just sufficient for, let's say, the states we produce. You know, it's not enough to go anywhere. Ideally, in Kaduna State, every day we are supposed to get like 800 megawatts. But on a whole, for the 4 states that we operate, we only get an average of 230 megawatts. And that 230 megawatts is not only just for Kaduna, it's for the 4 states. You understand? So we have to now break this 230 megawatts and share it amongst the 4 states. You can imagine how much Kaduna is getting. So that, because of that, it's very difficult for anywhere to have sufficient power supply and adequately. But despite that challenge, we try as much as we can. The little we get, to share it. That's why we have to load shed sometimes. That's why we have to give one community for some time and then give another for some time. So at least everybody will benefit from it. There is a power sector recovery plan that the federal government has launched, I think last year. So if government itself is going to abide by the provisions of that recovery plan, probably it will take us somewhere. You know, it's good that they have that plan, they have that vision.
The ERGP?
Yes, okay. They have that vision to solve the problems. It contains solutions to the problems. So if government faithfully abides by it, hopefully we'll see some respite. But despite that, the other fundamental challenge that needs to be addressed is the liquidity problem in the sector. The liquidity problem. You know, right now, DISCOs are operating at a loss. We are buying a commodity at nearly 60 naira per kilowatt hour, and we are selling it for under 30 naira. So how? Imagine yourself in a business. You are running a business. You buy something at 15 naira.
Why are you running a business at
Just,
loss?
I will get you there. You buy a business, you buy a product at 15 naira and you sell it at 7 naira. There is no way your business will survive. There will be challenges, there will be problems with the business. And the reason is because there is a need to review the tariff at which we are currently selling power. You understand? When the new MITO 20, the new tariff classification was done in 2015. Yes, 2015, late 2015, and it kicked off in 2016. It started in January 2016. It was released in November, I think, 2015, and then it started in January 2016. It was a 10-year tariff plan, you understand? And that time, it was pegged on the dollar being sold at 197 naira to the, dollar was sold ahead to the dollar. Exactly. So it was based on that the tariff was approved at an average of 28 naira. You understand? But now,
360.
Exactly. In fact, there was a time it went up to 450. Remember?
520.
Exactly. All that while, the generation companies were increasing their invoice. You know, That 197 that I talked about earlier, that was how we were buying, that's how they were selling to us, the generation companies. So when there was that discrepancy, that rise in the dollar, in the cost of the dollar, they were increasing their invoice. So with every invoice we receive, is higher than the last month's invoice because of the fluctuations of the dollar. But we are not allowed to increase our own cost. You get what I'm saying? So that is a big problem. It means that we have a backlog of debts that we are unable to service. The generation companies are owing us, the transmission companies are owing us, customers are refusing to pay. So it's a huge challenge. So unless the federal government comes up with a plan where this liquidity problem will be solved, then we can be able to really survive. We can be able to really settle our debts and then plan on metering, infrastructure upgrade, buying transformers to keep all those things, But if that is not done, we're operating at a loss. So it is difficult to plan. It's difficult for us to really meet our obligations. So there is a fundamental need to review the cost of power, cost of electricity in the country. There's something they are trying to do regarding getting investments into the sector, especially to help the distribution end. So they are saying that, they already own 40% in all the distribution companies. They own 40%, and then the private owners own 60%. So they want to dilute those shares. So that's just a proposal now. So it will take a long while before, a lot more needs to come out from the government on how they want to do that. So right now I can't really, we will have to wait until the government really makes it clear what it really wants to do. Are they going to force people to give up their shares? Or what is the plan? It's not very clear yet. So we have to wait for that.
That's about the size of the program for today. I am Aisha Muhammad Ahmed, thanking you for being there. Do have a good morning.